demand press freedom.
We demand journalists be able to do their jobs.
Ah, bless their hearts. They're saying all the right words. They certainly fit the part. You know, this whole scene reminds me of this.
A hypocritical journalist is worse than a propagandist. They lie from both sides of their mouth.
Now, if you want to understand the real Al Jazeera, you gotta dig into the history of Qatar and the Al Thanis, the royal family that's been running the show. And let me tell you, it ain't pretty. Qatar is a country with a despotic government. Human rights are just a joke. And then there's the issue of Islam, the religion of peace. The Qataris follow the most peaceful sect of the most peaceful religion of peace, Wahhabism. Peace. So buckle up, folks. We're about to take a wild ride into the heart of darkness, where the truth is twisted and the lies are served with a side of diversified falafel. We're in Qatar, a country so small it's basically a sandbar with delusions of grandeur. If Qatar were a person, it would be that kid in school who shows up in a Lamborghini, but still gets picked up last for dodgeball. Now, before Qatar became the glittering playground for the rich and famous, and the workplace nightmare for literally everyone else, it was just a barren stretch of desert that most people couldn't find on a map if you give them a GPS and 3 hints. Back in the day, Qatar's big claim to fame were pearls. That's right, pearls. They'd dive into the Gulf, risk their life to pull out these little shiny balls and sell them to rich folks. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Then came the 20th century, and boy, did their luck turn around. Because under all this sand and salt water was a treasure chest of oil and natural gas just waiting to explode into money. It's like Allah looked down and said, you know what this little patch of sand needs? Ton of money, and absolutely no idea what to do with it. By the 1950s, Qatar was raking in oil cash faster than Muhammad at the first Hajj. Now let me tell you, when you're a tiny country with a population smaller than most American towns, all that oil money doesn't just make you rich, it makes you stupid rich. We're talking fly a 2-headed camel kind of rich. But here's the kicker. While the Qatari royal family and the 8.7% of citizens were busy living it up, the real work was being done by millions of migrant worker folks from places like India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Philippines, and the poorer countries in Africa. They came to Qatar chasing dreams of a better life, and instead found themselves in what can only be described as modern-day slavery. I mean, they call it the kafala system, but let's not sugarcoat it. It's a system where you basically be owned by your employer. Your passport, taken. Your rights, non-existent. Your working conditions, horrible. Terrible. Let's just say OSHA would have a heart attack if they ever step foot here. Now, this is where it gets real rich, pun intended. Qatar's got no democracy, no free press, no rights for workers, no unions, hell, they don't even have a history of peaceful transition of power. Since their creation in 1847, it's been coup after coup after coup. It's like Game of Thrones, but with fewer dragons and more sandstorms. And yet, in the middle of all this, they have somehow managed to launch the biggest news media agency in the Middle East, Al Jazeera. A country that doesn't allow freedom of speech, freedom of the press, or frankly, freedom at all, decided it's gonna start a global news network? That'd be like your chain-smoking uncle opening a yoga studio in Baghdad in 1995. just don't make sense. But hey, we've got that much money, I guess you can buy yourself some credibility. Or at least rent it for a while. Hey, Daddy, how about you retire early and go chill by the pole?